Hello YouTube, and I'm doing this little update video for my review of the, I don't know if you can see, it's pretty white, the Zooz Zen20 power strip. This was the Z-Wave power strip. Like I said, I don't know if this shows up because it's pretty bright, that I had purchased through Amazon. I used the strip for a couple of weeks, 2, maybe 3, and I ran into a big problem where one day all of the blue button lights on it were just on and I couldn't turn them off, neither through my SmartWave app or the Smart Things app on my phone, Android phone, or through the actual push buttons of the unit itself. I don't have the unit right now to show you because I sent it back to them to have it inspected. I dealt with their tech support of both the Smarter Things house, I think was where I ordered it from, and the Zooz people, which, by the way, I have to call out right away that they were very awesome about the whole situation. They answered emails really quickly, and in the end, they basically gave me a refund for it, and I have since switched to this Aotec, which I think is part of Aeonlabs or something like that, their smart strip, which I have open here in another hub. It's not exactly the one that's shown in the picture there, and I guess you probably can't see it if it's too bright, but obviously this box is not that. Hopefully it's not a Chinese knockoff, but it does say Aotec by Aeonlabs. I'm assuming they just updated the packaging. Anyways, I don't want to go into this. I'm gonna put up a separate review for this, so just check my channel, or maybe I'll link to it in this video so you can see what I think about this. I just want to talk about the reasons why I switched. So originally, in the original review, you know, I liked the fact that it had buttons on it that you could press to turn on and off. But that doesn't mean anything when they don't work anymore. Like I said, one day all lights were on, and I would press a button to turn it off, and all of the 5 light channel buttons would go off and come right back on again. Like, it was just immediate, and I couldn't turn them off anymore. And I tried a number of things. They said it might have been the loads I had plugged into it, but honestly, all I had plugged into it was I had 2 lamps with LED bulbs at about 6 or 7 watts each bulb going into a white extension cable that plugged into channel, I think, 1. Then I had 2 other lamps that were plugged in separately into channels like 2 and 3. And then I had some LED strip lights, the tube lights that's in the little tubes, you know, you can wrap around things. I had that plugged into like channel 4. And I had this on a schedule with my Smart Things app. I wasn't exceeding any loads, but in the end, they said it might have been that I wasn't pushing enough load, and I'll get to that in just a second. But anyways, I disassociated it from my Smart Things even, and, you know, I went in and removed it and all that stuff, and when I would plug it in, same thing. All lights would come on, I could not get them to turn off. I sent it back to them, they said they tested it and it worked fine. So I don't know what the deal is. I'm perfectly willing to admit if it was my fault and I screwed up or there's something in my system, but I wasn't doing a very complicated setup. I've had my Smart Things hub for a year now, and I've got, you know, dimmers and switches made by Linear, you know, the light switches in the wall. I've got dimmer plug-in units made by, you know, Schlag, and I think I have one by Levitron or Levitron. I think it's Leviton. I've got another one, I can't remember the brand, but I've got different brands, and I've got some I just bought here. These are the PEQ ones, and they all work great. They've been working good. I'll do a mini review on those later, but then I bought the Zooz, and that's when problems started to happen. Now, I get it from a manufacturer's standpoint. It's easier for them to just say it's probably, you know, the end user. We can't know everything they've got plugged in, but I didn't have any fish tanks or fans or heaters or anything complicated like that plugged in. This was LED lamps and some strip lights, which I believe were LEDs in there with, you know, resistors or whatever. The new app actually tells me with this new one, it's really cool, tells me how much usage it was, and I think it's like using like 47 watts or 27 or something, but it's definitely above the minimum threshold. They were blaming that, in the end, they were blaming that strip light, and I'll talk about that in just a sec, but if the product isn't gonna work, then I can't use it. Now, at first it was great. For the first couple days, the beautiful part about it was once I finally got it recognized, which was a bit finicky, you have to press the channel button repeatedly at the right speed and at the right time. But once I got it recognized, it was set up, I had immediate access to all the different plugs, and that was great. A little different on the newer one, but all of that was easy and pain-free to use. I had my light app, you know, to set my lights on at a certain time and off at a certain time, ready, going, and everything was good. Then about 2 days after I had it set up, all of my house lights, everything, my front door light, my living room lights, I have them all set to turn on at sunset and then to turn off a couple hours later. All of them missed the sunset. None of them turned on. My front door, my living room, the other room where I had the power strip set up, everything failed. And I had never seen that. And so I was like, well, maybe it was smart things. I did a little search, and some people had said, a year or two ago that it's occasionally common for it to just hiccup and everything misses. I've had a single device once in a very long time miss because maybe I had it out of range. That's my fault. But I've never had everything in the house fail. And I couldn't figure it out. And I got past that, and then for the next couple days, everything was working okay. Then, a couple of days before the big failure of the Zooz, I'm calling it the big failure, I tried to go in, and the lights weren't turning off on just that device, so I tried to go into Smart Things, and I'd click it, and I would say, turn the device off. And it would, I don't want to say it would lock up my Smart Things, but I couldn't access anything else. Any of the buttons I pressed to turn on and off, nothing would happen. But as soon as I tried to access the Zooz, it was like my hub was stuck in a cycle, or it was having problems issuing the command or something. And then after a few minutes, the app would respond. Actually, I don't want to say that. After a few minutes, I could adjust the other devices, because the app in itself never locked up. My phone never gave me any errors. I could still scroll through. I just couldn't click anything else on or off. It was like the hub was busy. And it was only after I would try to access the Zooz. So, I would shut down the app just to be sure. I'd start it back up, and I would access another device. On and off, no problem. Access another device. On and off, no problem. I'd get back down to the Zooz. On. Oh, nothing's responding. Zooz wasn't responding. No lights would come on. And then I would scroll up or down to try to click something else on, like one of my other lights. No response. Then after a few minutes, I could do the other devices again. So you could blame the app if you want. I don't know. I suspect maybe the device handler for it has a problem, or that my device particularly had a problem. I'm not going to tell you not to give it a try. It just didn't work for me, and I was getting a bad vibe from it. And luckily enough for me, they said it worked on their end. They gave me a full refund. I'm just going to go another route. And now I'll talk about why. They told me, I said I was going to talk about this. They told me that you can't exceed a certain load limit, but they also told me you have to be above a certain load limit. That to me doesn't make any damn sense. Now the Zooz and the smarter house things people or whatever, they were all great. The customer service and the guys, the technician trying to help me, they were all great. But whoever designed this must be an idiot. You don't say, don't go above this, but also you have to be above this. Because now you start going, well, you can really only use devices in this area. When you make a product that specific, that sucks, okay? I still don't think that was really the problem. I think that there's just an issue with either the software or the hardware, and they don't know what's going on. I'm going to place my money somewhere else where they have a better idea. I actually contacted the Aotec or Aeonlabs people and said, look, I have a Zooz. This is the problem I'm having. Sorry, Zooz. This is the problem I'm having. Well, I have this problem with yours. Their guys were quick, prompt, and said, I don't see any problems with this. We don't have a minimum load. It's just an on-off. It's not a dimmer. Right? You shouldn't have a problem with an on-off. He said, as long as you don't go over. We have load limitations. And I understand that. If you try to draw more power out of something than it can have, that it can dish out, you're going to fry it. This is true of AC adapters, anything. So I understand that. But a minimum load? Like, I get that on a dimmer, where it can't dim all the way off, and, some of the light switches when the LED bulbs aren't dimmable, all that stuff. But an on-off switch shouldn't have that problem. These guys assured me that wouldn't happen, so I put my money with them. Again, I'm not reviewing that right now, but I wanted to say why I switched. Zooz was like, well, you have to be above, I don't know if I have the email available. I don't know the exact numbers. If you really care, you can comment in my comments and I'll tell you. But it was like, it has to be above 15 watts or 10 watts or something ridiculous. What's the point? What's the point if it has to be above 10 or 15 watts? Most LED bulbs now that you're going to run in a lamp, if you buy LED bulbs, because why not? This is 2017. It's not 2001. Most LED bulbs are going to run average 6, 7, 8, 9 watts. They're not going to run 20, 40, 50 watts. So good job making a product for 1985. Not so good for 2017. Seriously, major design flaw if that's really what happened. And again, they blamed my strip lights, my LED strip lights. They're just in a little flexible tube, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. They have a better name. Tube lights. I don't know what they're called. Rope lights. Rope lights. They blamed the rope lights. And in the new app, I'll see if I can put a picture. In the new app, it shows those rope lights, because this one actually shows the power draw, which is pretty cool. The Zooz does not. I don't really the feature isn't that important to me, but to see how much they actually draw, I can answer that question now. It's way over what they were saying. Oh, blah blah blah. So unless it was the lone lamp that I had running the LED bulb at 7 or 8 watts, which would have been below 15, I think it was 15. He said. Don't quote me. That's just stupid. That's just dumb. So once I found out they'd give me back my money, I was like, yes, please give me back my money, and I don't want this anymore. And I have no problem with them. The support was great. The technicians were great. They all helped me. Your designers suck. Okay, that's stupid. I don't know what else to say. If you're gonna I have to be above this but below this, you start creating very, very minute, finite areas of operation, and that's pointless. It should be anywhere from 0 to the max. That's where you should be, and I'm hoping that's where the Aeonlabs one or Aotec one will be. But this one, it's just not gonna work for me on that purpose. So be weary. If you're gonna run some low voltage LEDs on it, it might give you the same problem. Now, I want to finish up with my story. Right after I had the problems with it not responding, I started to realize maybe that's what caused the day where none of my stuff turned on. It might have tried to send a signal to the Zooz first, locked it up for 2 or 3 minutes, whatever that time period was. It was only a couple minutes, it wasn't very long. And then nothing else got executed and it just skipped that cycle. After I disconnected the Zooz, have never had a problem with anything else in my house. None of my other devices have failed to come on or anything else like that. So that thing's a problem. A couple days later, or maybe it was a week later, all the blue lights came on, nothing else functioned. I couldn't access it in the hub. It was totally not working. I was able to remove it, from the SmartThings hub, but every time I plugged it in, all lights turned on. I couldn't turn off any of the channels. I don't know why it randomly worked when it got to them. Maybe it had to be unplugged for a week. I had the thing unplugged for 2 days before I plugged it back in. Still got the blue lights. So maybe it took a week of being unplugged to reset. I don't know, but just be weary. I don't want to dog the thing too much. I'm more interested in dogging the people that designed it that are like, that's stupid crap. But if you're going to run some minimum loads on this of 5, 6, 7, 8 watts, just LED bulbs, it might not work for you. Again, I'm not going to tell you not to try it, but you are getting the luxury of somebody who's had that one and now has this one. I think these are the only 2 on the market. So now I've had both, and maybe I'll also do a little video just on my general thoughts comparing the 2, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just telling you why I took it back, why I got rid of it, and if you watch my first review on the Zen20, take it with a giant handful of salt, because if I knew then what I know now, I would have done that review a little differently. And I did that review after having it for just a small amount of time, and it worked for a little while and then just started to kind of not work so good. So that's my follow-up to that. Please, I'll put some links in this video in the beginning and towards the end here to my initial review in case you found this video first. Definitely to the review of this, and if I do a comparison thoughts at the end, I'll put a review to that as well, because I will probably post all these at the same time. Again, thanks for tuning in. Sorry about well, I'm not really sorry, because I didn't know any better. My first review was pretty accurate, it was easy to set up and it worked. So sorry about that, but anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.